What is going on, everybody? So today I want to talk about something that a couple people have left in the comments saying they've been buying sleep boosters, and I don't cringe at the thought of buying sleep boosters. I have sleep boosters of my own for Pokemon sets, but I think that a lot of people overestimate how good of an investment some of these ancillary products are. And in this video, I'm going to try and give my explanation as best I can without going super in depth, because the reality is, unfortunately, TCG Player doesn't have the best resources for One Piece products, so it's kind of hard to look at the data. Whereas with Pokemon, it's a lot easier to compare apples to oranges and get a better idea of what's going on. So, in short, and I'll try and make this short, sleeve boosters aren't going to be worth your time, even if, in the unlikely chance, they perform as well as booster boxes. And the reality is, most of the time, they're not going to perform as well as booster boxes. And this is assuming we're buying near market value on each product. Now, if you can buy sleeve boosters, again, and I say this in all my videos across all my channels, there is a price to buy everything, right? If someone offered you a Romance Dawn booster box for $300 and it was a blue bottom, you're going to buy it, right? And you knew there was no reseal or anything. It was a legit box. Someone said, here, this is yours, $300, want it? Yes, you're going to buy it. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Sleeve booster of Romance Dawn, if someone offers you one for $2, you're going to take it, right? They're worth about $16, $17. Even if you sold it instantly at $10, you 5x your money essentially. And the only reason I say this is I don't want people going into the comments and saying, well, I got a really good price on them. That means they're a good investment. No, you got a really good price on them, and that means for you, they were a good investment. But overall, that doesn't make sleeve boosters a good investment. And for the most part, because I saw someone write a comment basically saying that they bought, I believe it was 20 sleeve boosters of PRBO1 or something like that, and it came below the price of a booster box, basically like 90% or something like that along the lines. It's not super relevant, but the point is, you're always going to be able to get the same amount of packs equal to a booster box below the price of a booster box. And that's because booster boxes are always going to have a premium because they are the premium product. People want them to open, they're space efficient if you are investing in product. And then also long-term collectors that are sealed collectors, they want to have the booster boxes. Some of them want sleeve boosters, that's fair, but the majority of people are going to want to have a booster box, okay? So there's always going to be a premium on booster boxes. And normally, at least in Pokemon, and when the years go on, we'll probably see this happen in One Piece as well. Once the booster boxes hit a certain level, and the ratio between a loose pack or an ancillary product like this and the booster box hits about a 0.5, 0.55 ratio, that's when we start to see the ancillary products tick up. And what I mean by that is, say there's a booster box that's, I don't know, what's simple math here? Say there's 20 packs in a booster box, and the box is $200, right? So it's $10 a pack. Once that booster box hits about $200, if a loose pack is about $5 or $5.50, that's when we'll start to see people start buying up those loose packs and sleeve boosters and ancillary products at that point until it gets back to about a 0.8 ratio. So once those packs hit about $8 a pack, if that makes sense. That's normally when they would stagnate again. The boxes would probably stagnate. That's kind of like a new normal level. Then, later on the boxes would increase to like $300, right? And then it's $15 a pack inside the booster box, meaning once the loose packs or ancillary products are about $7.50, $8 in that range, then you'd see those move up to like 12, if that makes sense. So there's always going to be lag on these sleeve boosters. Sleeve boosters don't dictate the price of a booster box. So saying you can get these below the value of a booster box, first off, is just not a good argument to start with, and it's also not a good way to think about your purchases. The other issue I see with a lot of people, especially if they're newer to investing in TCGs, is they don't understand how much time and effort they're going to have to put in to offload certain products. For example, one-piece booster boxes, ones like OPO5 right now are very liquid, same thing with like OPO9, so you don't have to put in a ton of work to move these, but something like a Romance Dawn is much less liquid. The Memorial Collection is very illiquid right now, especially at this price. When it was like $100, $130, $140, it was much more liquid. But the reality is, if you do appreciate your time and you value it, you're gonna have to factor in how many hours it takes you to offload product. If you're buying something for $5, like a sleeve booster, but it's taking you an hour to sell it and you sell it for $15, did you really make $10? Because if you value your time at $20 an hour, it's really like you lost $10 essentially. So whereas with a booster box, you're basically selling 24 packs at one time, essentially. Obviously, it doesn't work one for one, but the reality is you're going to probably have 20 to 25 times less booster boxes than you would sleeved products if you only bought sleeved products. And to add on top of that, it's probably going to be cheaper to ship one booster box to one customer than it's going to be to ship 24 different sleeve boosters to 24 different customers. And I know you could sell more than one sleeve booster to one customer. That is possible. But even if it was only 12, like say everyone bought 2, right? Or maybe you sold them in art sets, if there even are art sets in One Piece. I know in Pokemon there are art sets of like 4 or 5 different artworks per set or whatever it's going to be. So people do that. Sometimes it brings down shipping costs. You're still having to sell so many more SKUs and bundles and deals, and it's just the time adds up, right? Like you really have to factor that in, even if it's not just the shipping cost. Now, before I tell you when is a decent time to buy sleeve boosters, I just wanted to jump in here and say about 3/4 of you guys watching these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you're getting some value out of this content, again, you don't owe me anything, but if you are learning something, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, share it with a friend. It helps out a ton. Thank you if you do decide to do that. Now, if you do want to buy sleeve boosters, or if it's something you're thinking about doing, the best time to do it is when a product is already sold out. And when I mean a product, I probably mean the booster box, essentially. The main product. So in Pokemon, that would be your booster boxes, your PC ETBs, maybe even regular ETBs, especially on like the Pokemon Center. And again, that won't translate exactly to One Piece. I know we're talking about One Piece, but I'm trying to relate to Pokemon because it makes the most sense in my mind. Once those main products, so the booster boxes, stuff like that, once those start to move up, they sell out, they're very hard to find. And when that ratio hits about 0.55 to 0.6 in terms of a loose pack or a sleeve pack to a booster box pack, if that makes sense. So again, if there's 24 packs in a box, the box is worth $240, it's about $10 a pack. If you can find a sleeved pack for around $5.50, $5, that's when I would start buying sleeved products and sleeve products, etc. And that's exactly what I did with my Pokemon investments. I bought a few team up sleeve booster packs a couple of years ago at this point, maybe not a couple of years, like 18 months, something like that. Fairly early on though into my investing career. Once those team up booster boxes had another leg up, I think to around $2,000 USD, I picked these up fairly cheap, and they more than doubled within 2 years, not even 2 years. So that was a good buy just because at the time they were cheap compared to the booster box. Did the same thing with Evolving Skies sleeve packs. I think I have about 15 of these left. Same sort of deal. I've probably 2x my money on these or 3x my money, whatever. I've done really well on these, and it just takes little to no effort to buy these once you see the leg up in the booster box, because there's always going to be that lag of maybe like a week or two before the market catches on to what's happening. So if you catch it early, that's the best time. Same thing, Fusion Strike. I bought 144 sleeved boosters off the Pokemon Center after the booster box had sold out in North America, after the PC ETB and the regular ETBs had sold out pretty much everywhere. This is when I started buying these. It was like the last product in stock on the Pokemon Center. So I paid MSRP. They're pretty much triple MSRP at this point within a year, essentially. And I also did that with Lost Origin, except I didn't buy them on the Pokemon Center. I bought them from Hobbiesville, so they're even cheaper because Hobbiesville was running a sale at that time. But the reality is, I still own most of these products, and it's not that I haven't tried listing some of these, but especially in like January and February when Pokemon was going through a massive craze, people wanted to buy booster boxes. So the Fusion Strike booster box, for example, people really wanted to buy, or the Lost Origin booster boxes. I sold a ton of those in January and got to a zero cost basis. But most people just don't want sleeve boosters because they're investing. They're more difficult to store. They take up more space. Again, it's harder to offload them. So it's just not, you're going to have a smaller customer base, if that makes sense. And it's not ideal to be putting a lot of your money into these. So to sum this up and to stop beating a dead horse, if you can find these at a very good price, sure, it might be worth picking up some, but put most of your money into booster boxes, your Romance Dawns, your OPO5, Awakening of the New Era. Memorial Collection I probably wouldn't be buying right now just because it's a little expensive, but EBO2 is coming out. So if you get a decent pre-order price, I bought 4 boxes at a pretty good deal. I'm looking forward to those. OP11's coming out if you can get a decent price on that. Same thing with OP09. I mean, this is just such a no-brainer set as well. And then PRBO1, if you can still find a decent deal, maybe get a little bit of exposure to this, but I know it's run up a lot. I'd still probably buy this over the Memorial Collection though. But, just put most of your money into the meat and potato products. In One Piece, that is still just the booster boxes. In Pokemon, that would be your PCTBs, your booster boxes, etc. Do that. You're going to have to sell less items in the future. There's going to be higher levels of liquidity, so it's going to be easier to move your money out of One Piece or whatever other TCG you're investing in. And ultimately, your future self is going to thank you. So again, guys, if you bought any of this, no hate towards you. I made kind of like the same mistake, in my opinion, starting out. I bought way too many of these, close to like 90% of a booster box price, and then it just took way too long to get my money out. And I still have a lot of them just because they're not as liquid, even if I've on paper made like 80, 90, 100% on some of them. They're just still not that great of an investment. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.